Hi guys, it's Terry with Peacocks and Paper, and this is my absolute first video for my YouTube channel. But just to give you a little background, I am a mom, a wife, I am a homeschooler, I garden, we live on a farm, I also work full-time. And I get asked quite a bit how I manage to stay on top of everything, and this is it. This is what I call my second brain. It is my planner. Sorry about that. We've got a ton of animals, 4 of which are dogs, which are barking outside right now. So sorry. But this little book has my planner in it. It's got my projects, my memory keeping, chore lists, laundry, cleaning, homeschool, everything goes in this little thing. I even have my work stuff in here right now. Used to keep that separately, don't anymore. So when I'm asked these questions about how I stay on top of it, and I tell them, well, I'm a planner, I write everything down. People inevitably ask me how. So I'm going to give you a little flip through of what I do. So I am currently using a B6 Stalogy. I've been watching videos by Dakshina. It's Daksina. She's amazing, and I got a lot of ideas from her. Always used a planning system, whether it's a Hobonichi, traveler's notebook, a day planner, whatever. This is what's working for me now. I'm housing it in a Chic Sparrow leather cover. It is the B6, I think it's Mr. Darcy in Matcha. It's a deluxe, which I love because it's got pockets, which are fabulous. But I got this used off of one of the websites, and I'm so happy with it. So just gonna dive right in. So in my front pockets, I've got a couple of business cards, and I keep my little, I love my little Hobonichi stencils. They're so cute. I'm not using them right now, but I still keep them with me. These things I do use. These are Hobonichi sticky notes. They came with, I think I got them last year, if I'm not mistaken. But I love them because you can write something on these, move them from page to page or week to week, and they really stay sticky. They're super thin. They're kind of sheer to see through, which I like. And then I also love this. This is the double stick tape that Hobonichi sells. You can get them in this little size or in the big sizes. So if you're like me and you like to kind of stick little notes from your kids and stuff like that, I love having these. In this back pocket, I don't really have anything. Sometimes I keep cash in there, but not so much now. This next little section, I don't know if you're familiar with traveler's notebooks, but it's basically a string system. So on my very first string inside my Chic Sparrow, I have this little cover. Now, this is kind of funny because this is an old cover that from a, hold on, let me think. It was a Jibun Techo B6 Slim. This is the little plastic cover that came on it. I used that planner 3-4 years ago, something like that. And as ridiculous as it sounds, I saved the plastic cover, and I'm so glad I did, because in a B6, it is a perfect little wallet insert. So this is my wallet. Everything goes in here. My debit card, my credit card, driver's license. Back here, don't y'all laugh because I'm on the go all the time, working and running my kids around. I have a little perfume, a couple of perfume samples, and I just keep those slid in there because if it's a rough day, and I do live in South Texas, so if I ever need to freshen up a little bit, I've got something with me. On the back side of it, I keep a book of stamps, and I have them clipped in there with these little book darts, which are amazing because they're so thin. I've got my Texas State Parks Pass, things like that. I keep my ruler in there, also from Hobonichi, with the little stencils on it, and then I've got some little notes back there. Inside of this first insert, this is something that I made out of, I think, a sheet protector, and I use it to keep my card that I got with my power sheets this year. I love that little saying. That's my word of the year. And then in the back here, I just got these stickers from Frannie, and I really like them. They work really well with the Stalogy paper as far as their sizing done. So these were all custom that I did for my morning routines, and I'll show you how I use those later. So this little book right here is what I consider kind of like my main planner. This is a month on 2-page insert from Paper Penguin Co. It is, I'm going to try and show you a semi-blank month. Okay, so here's October. So I decorate just a little bit, but it's just a plain month on 2 pages. It has a little notes column here. I do a lot of my forward planning on these little craft paper stickies, so that way if things get canceled too far in advance or moved around, I don't have to mess up my paper which I like my planner to stay neat. So at the very front, I use my Allie Brown stamps, decorated it a little bit. I keep this on here because I slide things under here all the time. Little note from my husband. This was a free printable from Coco Daisy, and I love that little owl. I'm pretty sure that's my spirit animal. I usually have 3 or 4 of these book darts stuck to the front cover, but I've used them up. Like, they're somewhere in my planner now. So I need to add some more on there because I rely on those. So here's January. I choose basically a color scheme for the month, and I throw some washi down. I do highlight the dates because it helps the date pop out for me a little bit. So here's February. March was when everything started to go crazy with the COVID virus, so you see all my canceled plans. Ugh, I hate drawing lines through things. Here's April, and now we're into May. So, like I said, every month has a different thing. I really like this printable a lot. It works great with my Stalogy, with the B6 especially. And again, I just stuck a craft paper sticky note so that I can do my forward planning. I keep coupons in here. The gardening center that I go to, sometimes I earn some coupons, but I can't use them till August, so I just clip them to August, and then I know where they are. September, October, and then in the back here, after December, you get these pages at the back of this that are all like I don't know if you guys can see that. It's just the dot grid. So I use that for my project planning. So this is my project planning for 2020. All the things that I want to declutter yet again, because I like to go through things once a year just to keep them on the fly. This is a project that we're currently working on. I keep track of cost and materials and everything. Here's the paint that I'm using, and I'm holding on to that until I know for sure that I'm never going to need it again, which I doubt, because I like to keep things on file in case I ever need to touch it up. I make a list of all of the different projects in here, and then on each page I will write out the material lists and stuff. So I have ideas for other projects, but I don't know if I'm going to get to all of them, so they go on sticky notes, because if I have to bump them into 2021, I'm okay with that. So I only write out the ones that I'm almost sure that we're going to get done this year. And there's some major projects going on around here, but I still have all this paper. Next time she does do, Paper Penguin Co. is really good about doing like custom orders. The only thing that I would change about this insert is I would ask her to print it on Tomoe River paper, which is super thin. I love it. You can watercolor on it. It's what Hobonichi and some other Japanese planners use. But that would probably be the only thing that I would change about this. This is working out really, really well for me. So stickers on the back, picture of me and my hubs. Okay, went over all of that. This is just an insert that I put some little stickers in. My daughter will sit down with me sometimes when I'm filling out my planner, and so I will pull these out and she can put them in her bullet journal or school notes or whatever. But that's kind of my stash of stickers that I won't necessarily use, but I'm still holding on to for, you know, something cute. So here is my B6 Stalogy. I did decorate it a little bit. I basically took craft paper. Now I'm going to show my age here, but used to we would cover our school books in like brown paper bags, and I happen to have some of that I'd gotten for some craft or something, I can't even remember what. And I just tore it, glued it on here, put some washi. I love my Allie Brown creative owl stamps, so there's another one. And I just wrote 2020 on there. This is also an Allie Brown stamp that I just kind of used over and over, and then I drew the little flowers on. I just like decorating, but I'm just not that good at it. So here's the inside. I keep notes in here for my son. I have a son with special needs, and I've got information that I need to kind of have quick glance at my fingertips, and it's under that sticky. These are my little extra tabs for the year. Carrie Harling, I love her stuff. She does dispatches from the frat house, and she did a really neat video on how to make little movable tabs out of stickers or, you know, tabs or whatever. These are some of my favorites. Look at that, you guys. See my little books? These are old stamps from Allie Brown Creative. I don't think they're old stickers, excuse me. She's not doing these anymore, but they're little tiny books, and I love them. And so I put them on a sticky tab and turned it into sticky notes. And I did the same thing. She made little traveler's notebook ones. Isn't that precious? Love them. So I keep those here because I use tabs, obviously, to mark my place, and it's just nice to have one that I can grab. And on this next page, I took scrapbook paper and I covered it. I just love that scrapbook paper. This is where I house my sticky notes. If you know me, you know that I love sticky notes. So I have page flags that I've cut, sticky notes here, sticky notes there. These are probably my two go-tos if I need just a standard. These are the craft paper ones. You can get them off of Amazon. And these I'm kind of sort of obsessed with. These are like vellum sticky notes. So I keep a couple of those in there as well. These I think I found and I just sort of stuck them in here because I didn't know what else to do with them at the time. Oh, look, another book dart. They're everywhere, folks. What can I say? This next page is a free printable. I got it in an Etsy shop. Oh, I meant to write it down and I didn't, but I will link it down below. I bought this initially for my family planner that I keep out on my kitchen counter. It's kind of like the family at a glance planner, so my kids know what's going on. But then I liked the font, and when I printed it again and cut it up, and it's a great year to glance for here. And again, I just put some craft paper behind it because I just like the looks of it. This is a sheet of tracing paper, just old school tracing paper. You can get a pack for like 150 sheets for $10 on Amazon or something. And I use this consistently throughout my planner, and I'll show you how. But it saves on bulk, but it also gives me a place to keep. This is a running to buy list, and I put it on one of those sheer stickies. But these are things that I don't need if I'm just running into H-E-B or the grocery stores or whatever, but they're things that I'm like, okay, next pay period or whenever. These are things that I might pick up. And again, shocking, another book dart. So here's where I started this book. And I know a lot of people are like, they come up with a plan or they want to start their planner on a certain day or at the beginning of the month. I didn't do any of that. Okay. I got it in the mail on the 12th. I started it on Friday the 13th, right at the beginning of the COVID whole pandemic thing, but it was before it really hit. So I started making notes. Like here we did a Walmart run, and that was my grocery list. And then we find out that services are canceled at church and the library. We went to the library, and the library, that was the last day that they were going to be open. So it was right at the beginning of everything. I covered up, you're going to see these purple stickies. I cover things up in my Stalogy that might be private, or if it has to do with my job, I just don't share that information out on the internet. So I hope you guys understand. But I just kicked in with some dailies. I make a list, things of to do. I do use this for note keeping and things. So we saw our first hummingbirds at our feeders on March the 14th. So all of my dailies look the same. I started keeping track of all of my pending orders. Again, here's another little sticky tab that I just made from Carrie Harling's video. Love it. This is how I lay out my weeks, and this is basically how I still do it. I draw a little box, put my appointments in for the week, general to-dos, and then I immediately start on my dailies. I need to have a planned time for the day, so I literally just write in from 5 a.m. till 10 p.m. because I typically get up at 5 a.m. every day. I have my personal to-dos and work to-dos, but my days still look the same. I like to keep memory keeping in here. Look, I'm counting. I made it to 3 hummingbirds at the feeder that day. I was so excited. Kind of obsessed about my garden, you guys, and you're going to see the full extent of that when I get further into this book. So at the very end of the week, I'm a homeschooler. I have been homeschooling for 11 years after spending several years in the classroom teaching. And I have a little fold out that I print out, kind of keep track of what my kids are working on in each subject. And then I make a note of anything sort of above and beyond. I love the little fold out because it doesn't take up much space. I tip it in with washi tape so that I can use both sides. And then for my homeschool, I make notes of extra things that we did that aren't necessarily assignments, but we watched La Boheme, and the kids helped build a pen for our new baby goats. So they were measuring things and calculating and all that. They also helped clear and prep the garden that week. So I count all of those as learning experiences. And I'll do another video on my homeschool stuff. This is just how I work it all into my planner so that I have my entire life in one book. So once I finished that week, I went in and started making my lists. If you're a bullet journal, you could call them collections or whatever, but homeschool to-dos, YouTube channels, These pages are all clipped together because this is all work stuff, and I just don't feel right sharing my work stuff out on this channel. I don't know why, it just feels weird. So again, weeklies kind of stay the same. I have these great little stickers. I love them. And look, I never use them. See how they're all blank? It's supposed to be a little weekly tracker, and I keep forgetting to actually fill them in. So you'll see sticky notes on all my dailies, things that I've had to move. My youngest son gifted me this sticker. I'm not into holographic stuff, but he was so proud and so excited. And he was like, "Are you gonna put it in your planner, Mom?" So I was like, "Of course I'm going to, bud. Of course I would." So there's my little holographic turtle picture, which makes me happy. More homeschooling, made Navajo flatbread. Now you see this right here? See how I just wrote COVID across there? Because we didn't get much actual school done that week. It was a lot of, we were now working from home, both my husband and I. There was all this weirdness, and it was too much. So we did do some things, but I didn't track it. But I just wrote COVID, and that tells me that was a crazy week, and I'm not going to worry about it. Again, I clipped more pages together because it has to do with my job. And again, next up, you see my garden tab. So I just made that with my little labor maker and a little pack of tabs that I picked up at Hobby Lobby or something like 2 years ago. I am an avid gardener. I love the idea that I'm growing food that my kids are going to eat. It is a lot of work, but everybody sort of chips in, and we're just used to it now. So for us, it's worth it. But I do like to keep track. We have a big koi pond, and it's actually, this is the top part, and then the rest of the koi pond's down here. But I have big planter boxes all the way around it. So I draw a little schematic to show what I've planted in each of my vegetable beds and garden beds. And I keep track so that I know when I need to rotate crops and things like that. I also keep garden notes when I go into the backyard or the front yard, different things, when I plant, when I fertilize, all that. See, notes for the end of the season, things that I need to remember. And then this is, I'm tracking how often I fill my hummingbird feeders. I have 4 of them out there, and I'm filling them every couple of days. So I got to come up with a plan. So here's how I start an actual month in my planner. So I started this one in April. I do a little cover page because, again, I save my planners. I've got memories in here, garden notes, medical notes for my kids. So this isn't something that I would just throw in the trash. So I like it to look cute. Now, this is a free printable from Coco Daisy. If you go to her website, it's her past kits. I print mine off on tracing paper. It's super thin, so it doesn't bulk up my planner, and I love that little crinkly sound. I don't know why, but I do. I'm a nerd like that. I covered the page back here. I put it straight on the page, and I didn't like it. So then I had this pale green, this is literally like tissue paper that you get out of a gift bag or something. And I put it on there and trimmed it. And then I was like, it's too green. So I put some white on top of it and said, I'm calling it a day. Made my tabs, again, using the Carrie Harling. I think these were old tabs out of a Happy Planner. And I just tore them off and repurposed them because I just like the font and I like the colors. So here is an actual beginning of the month. Every single week from here on out, I put one of these little free Coco Daisy printables. Again, it's just tracing paper. It's super thin, crinkly sound, but I use that as my weekly dashboard. That's going to make more sense when I show you my current week. But I still follow the same thing. Quick view of appointments, to-dos, work to-dos, and then I set up my dailies. I usually set up a whole month at a time, so I don't spend, every night having to do it. I keep my homeschool stuff at the end of every week. And when I set it up at a month, I don't have to worry if, like if I'm going to forget to put something in there. I've got plenty of time. All these things come up, and the way that I plan, when something comes up, it immediately gets written on my daily. Then I will figure out if it needs to get moved to a list, if I need to schedule it for a different time, and I move things around based on that. I hope that makes sense. It'll make more sense when I get to this week. See, here's some notes. We watched documentaries on Roanoke and relationships between the settlers and Native Americans because that's the period of history that we're studying right now. My kids' literature books. Here's the next week. I love that one, Planner Girl. Here's a day that I got Happy Meal. from a planner friend that I've never met. We only met online, and she just sent me a sweet little package, and I was so excited about it. So I had to immediately use some of the washi and stuff. But I wrote down her address and things because I want to send her a little thank you and maybe a little jar of honey or something from our bee yard. So again, dailies, homeschool notes. Now see how this one is blank, but I have the washi tape here because I put in one of my homeschool fold out planner pages, but I didn't use it that week. We were doing other things. This is what we were kind of following, but I didn't write it down. My kids tracked it in their bullet journal, and that was enough for me. So I took it out so I could use it again later on in the week, or later on in the month. So getting towards the end of April here, COVID is still just kind of shutting everything down. We don't follow like a typical homeschool schedule. I've been doing this for 11 years. So we do 6 weeks of school and we take a week off, but we also go year round. So my kids are all ahead of where they're technically supposed to be in school. So that has given me so much freedom that I don't feel like I have to push them to do school 5 days a week. We usually only do school 4 days a week, but 4 days a week going year round and then just taking off the occasional week, it really keeps us on top of things, which is just amazing. So here's a first glance of how I use my little dashboards. I write on sticky notes all the time. The dashboard gives me a designated place to keep those notes. So these are some that I didn't end up needing to move forward, and I just left them sticking on here. It's a quote that I love. Here I made some notes on sinking funds for our savings accounts that I want to work on. Again, look how crazy some of my days are. Isn't that insane? But here's sermon notes from that Sunday in church. Here's another week that I just didn't use the thing, but we worked on all of our subjects. I just didn't write them down. This is stuff from my job, some keto notes when I was looking into it. This is a brain dump that just everything gets jotted down here, and then I just sort of cross it out. Not pretty, but effective. We got a ferret, so I was making notes on like what I could give him for treats and stuff, and I just love my little Jasper, which brings us to May. So I did the same thing. I went to the Cocoa Daisy website, printed these off on tracing paper, threw down some tissue, and gave myself like a little introductory page. And then this is how I'm having to work my schedule now because things are insane. We are kicking, like we've gotten over that COVID hump. What we're doing in school right now is not how we typically homeschool. We belong to co-ops. We're always out and about, library runs, friend's house, so on and so forth. So being on lockdown has thrown my kids for a loop. This is not how we homeschool, but it's what we're forced to do now. So I've had to divide up my column here and use both for appointments and things because our schedule is just that insane. I check the days when I'm doing laundry, things like that. I will do another video on how I schedule our chore charts, how I schedule my homeschooling, all of that. But this is just to give you an idea. I get so many people that ask me how I stay on top of things, and this is how. So we're getting through May. Let me just flip through here very quickly. See, here's more homeschool stuff. Okay, so this is the current week. This is my dashboard. I have certain areas, and I keep kind of a running to-do list for certain areas of my life. So like my personal to-dos, work to-dos, things that I want to do for this channel, and then my homeschool stuff. And I just move these stickies from week to week. So it gives me a designated place to write things down. And then I also don't lose them because I always know where to find them. So this is my little today tab. I literally move it back and forth as I need to. I've got this week planned out. Here's our homeschool lesson plans again. I love that it folds out, have literature information on the back for each of my kids. Here's next week. This one's all still kind of empty. And then we start into, so May is right here. I haven't set up June or anything like that because it's kind of like a relaxing Sunday evening thing for me to set up my planner for the next month. I do keep things on hand that I want to research. Right now I only have one thing because I carried it over from a previous list. Things that I want to do that people have asked me about. And then this is more work stuff. Now I'm to all my blank pages. But my planner doesn't end there. I start from the back. and work sort of forward with certain things. So in the back I always have note paper because you just never know when you're going to need it. A couple of homeschool planning pages just in case I need them. I always keep something in the back of my planner where I can make notes for the next year, because I obviously don't have a 2021 planner yet, but there's different things that I need to pay attention to because I have like annual subscriptions that I want to, like this one, I want to assess, am I going to keep this? Is it worth my money or not? This one here, things that I want to keep in my next planner. This page, now some people think I'm crazy, but I forget my passwords for all of these different things. So I keep them in here, but they are written in code. They're written in a code that I understand and that my husband understands, and a couple of my kids understand, but nobody else would. But I just cut this little bit of tissue paper and washi taped it on and covered it so that if my planner fell open, nobody's going to see anything private popping out. Okay, this is a helpful hint for all you moms out there. I have 6 children. One of those children has a lot of issues. He's got Down syndrome, he's on the autism spectrum, so on and so forth. And you know how when you go to a new doctor's, or if you have to go to urgent care in the emergency room with your kid and they're asking you questions about their medical history and things like that? This is my solution to that. So I made a page for each of my kids. You see these dates right here? I write down like semi-major medical events. Sometimes it's just me tracking when they were sick last. So in December, almost all of my kids got really sick. They had real high fevers, coughing, they were on breathing treatments. They all tested negative for flu. They all tested negative for strep. But it was serious enough that I was keeping track of how long they had the fevers and what medications we gave them. And I typically do that on my dailies. And then I put the kind of the bullet point of it back here, so that if I have to take my kids to the hospital or anything like that, I could open this up and I know that in 2014, Jude went through this. You know, I know when my other son, when he had a spiral fracture of his tibia. I know when my one son was hospitalized for reactive airway. So I write all of that down. Now this is my son. He has some medical stuff, so he's got a lot more on his list. But I also have to keep track of, you know, his oncologist, his endocrinologist, you know, all of his different doctors and stuff. So everything stays on this page, but then it's at my fingertips. I also keep track of my house info, what we've paid in taxes for the past couple of years, what we pay in car insurance, so on and so forth. This I love. Look at that little free printable from Coco Daisy. This is a list of all the books that I've read in 2020. This is where I keep my book list of things that I want to read. So if I'm at the library, I can look for specific things, or I go onto the website and I can either get them off of Amazon or just request them from the library. But I love these little printables. Isn't that cute? And again, I just print them on tracing paper because it doesn't bulk things up so much. Keep track of movies and shows that I want to watch, documentaries. This is a little section that I created for each of my kids to keep track of what sizes they're in, because that's changing constantly, it seems like, and also things that they need or don't need. Like in this case, my youngest does not need winter PJs, because apparently I found like 6 pairs of winter PJs when I was cleaning out his closet. So I keep track of what the kids need and what they don't. Okay, almost done, guys. Wish list, gift list. If one of my kids says, you know, gosh, Mom, I wish I had, you know, I want one of these, I write it down in here because it makes it a lot easier at birthday and Christmas. Now, this is a page that I look at daily, y'all, daily. This is my AM, PM list. I don't know if you can see that. So this is what I do every morning. This is what I do every evening. This usually starts about 5, sometimes 6 in the morning. This usually I start going on this list about 8 because I want to be done with my day by 10:30. I'm a bit of an insomniac. I wonder why. Got a lot on my plate, but this helps me make sure that I'm staying on top of like daily things that I need to take care of. And I just typed it up in a list. Brandy Michelle Plans has an awesome video on how she does all this. I will try and find it and link that down below for you guys. But she's amazing how she's got it all planned out. And I think she follows a certain system to help her track stuff. This is my actual planning routine. Now, for those of you that are geeky planners like me, this probably doesn't surprise you. I have my daily planning stuff that I keep track of. That's just part of my evening thing. Right here, it takes about 5 minutes. But every week, this is the stuff that I have to make sure that I hit. I've got to make sure that my tasks get done and fill in my to-do list and look at my to-buy list, look at my projects, brain dump, process my paperwork. All of these things are what I need to make sure gets scheduled in a single week. Homeschool, work, cleaning, laundry, workouts. I'm trying to do Spanish and German because my kids are learning those as their foreign language. So I'm doing Duolingo to try and stay on top of it with them. When we get paid, when bills are due, P&P is my Peacocks and Paper. I'm really trying to be diligent about it, but man, is it hard. Read alouds with my kids, Bible study, checkbook and bill time. See, that's kind of a double. I got to fix that. And then all of the other things that I do. And then monthly, this is what I have to make sure that I stay on top of. So it seems like a lot. Oh, and look, see, I created a little handy page for my fall and winter garden so I can start making notes already. It's only May, but I like to plan out because I have to buy in stages. I've got to seed, start seeds and, think about all that. So I have a designated spot now where I can start making some of those plans. So I still have all of these blank pages in this Stalogy, but there's no way it's going to last me to December. So I'm going to be setting up another notebook anyway. In the back pocket here, I keep reading list and then some paperwork that I need for work. This, y'all, is like my pen of choice right now. Can you see that? It's the Pilot Multiball. And I love this pen. It writes in very, very dark ink. It is black ink, but it's a fine nib and it's got a little, it's a little scratch to it. So it scratches a bit when you write on the paper. Some people, that bugs them to death. Lord knows I have enough of a pen and marker collection over here. That's not even all of them, sadly. But this is my favorite right now because it doesn't smear and I can highlight over it, which I love. I've tested all of my other pens and I know there's some art pens that you can get, but I can get a 5-pack of these off of Amazon for really, I think it was $8.99. I mean, it wasn't much money at all. So for it to not smear, and I can write on top of washi tape and plastic and all that. So this is by far my favorite pen. I do keep a pencil with me all the time because I write my homeschool stuff in pencil. But other than that, guys, this is it. This is how I do it. This is how I stay on top of my insanely busy life. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put them down below. I'm happy to go into more detail with any of the stuff that I'm using, homeschool, chores, how I balance work, time with my hubby, all that other stuff. Just let me know. But thanks so much, guys. Have an amazing day.